And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this special news segment today on the 17th day of March 2022. For those who joined in the parliamentary session as well, that is wonderful. And if we have some time left, we will probably join into the question time today there as well. Right now, let's get this news on the way. So many older Australians are still waiting for home care packages due to staff shortages. What's happening there? Let's take a look at that report.
Angela Dolcetta has lived in the same home in Melbourne's north for more than 50 years.
I love this place. The house is getting a little bit too big for me, but I just don't want to move from here. And truly, I would like to go in a nursing home.
So she can stay in her home for as long as possible, Angela Dolcetta has applied for a home care package to get help with shopping, gardening and cleaning.
I got arthritis in my hands, my shoulders not working anymore. That's what I do need. I need like help around the house.
There are 4 levels of home care packages, with government subsidies ranging from $9,000 a year for basic everyday help to more than $50,000 for more complex help. The money is paid to a provider chosen by the recipient.
I've been assessed for level 2 since October, and I thought once they assessed me, I thought, well, oh, this is good, I can call the people, but no, I was put on a waiting list.
Even though she's eligible, Angela is waiting to hear when she'll actually be allocated a package. After the Royal Commission, the federal government promised money in the budget to roll out 80,000 more home care packages over 2 years. Almost 27,000 of those had been released at the end of February. Even though thousands more packages have been released, there are still 62,000 people waiting for one at their approved level. Wait times have significantly reduced, but are still up to 9 months.
6 to 9 months is way too long for older people to wait for home care.
And that is a long time to wait, but as we know, this is a problem we have. The aged care is a segment where many community organizations and many community leaders are talking about. Says there's so much that really needs to be done in that area, and there's a lot that's happening in that area as well. But there are some grave concerns as well. So there's a fears of increase in homelessness due to regional housing crisis. Another similar situation here as well.
The Bellingen Shire is my motherland. It was where my mother was born, and it's where I've been coming my whole life.
Leanne Fryer's ties to Bellingen go back generations. But when she returned to put down roots in the region, she struggled to find a secure place to rent. So she came up with another solution.
From 2008 to 2016, I moved 13 times. And it was as a result of that I decided to buy a small van and put a bed down the middle of it and thought, well, no matter what happens in life, everything that's out of my control, at least I'll have a place to sleep.
The freelance physiotherapist and doula continued that lifestyle for 6 years. Then the Delta outbreak hit the regions.
With the lockdowns, all the public facilities, or a lot of them, were closed. So all those places that I knew I could get a hot shower, where I knew that they were really good public toilets, were shut down. It's really unsettling, and I think that's the reason why I decided to go back into a rental situation. And now we come through to the outdoor bathroom.
But rentals in her hometown were few and far between. The 59-year-old accepted an offer to live in a shed on a private property for $170 a week.
The sort of dwelling that I'm living in now, once upon a time I would have paid $25 a week, but everything's gone up. Put up all of these screens.
Arrangements like this are becoming increasingly common in the Bellingen Shire. The region has become a magnet for wealthy tree changers from the cities and nearby towns like Byron Bay. And now flooding in the northern rivers has added more pressure to a rental market already in crisis. Thousands of displaced residents are desperately looking for homes, but Bellingen has little to offer. In the past year, weekly rents jumped 41%, and on any given day, there are no rents.
So there's another area of grave concern, the shortage of rental. Well, they're talking about those kind of areas we talk about right here in Brisbane itself. There's always shortage of rentals. And one of the things is there are some of the investors who are selling their properties because they just cannot keep up with the prices of the ever-changing rules and regulations and the government regulations, and of course the tenants who do not keep their property very well. There's both sides of the equation. The other disturbing news is the fuel prices. What's happening there?
You've probably noticed that petrol is super expensive at the moment. Here in Tassie, it's left some people without much of an option. If you live in the inner suburbs, you can probably get around on your feet. But in the outer suburbs of Hobart, like here in Glenorchy, it's often not an option. You're a support worker, aren't you?
As a support worker, yes, and as a father as well, it's difficult now to make those runs to say I'm going to take my kid around or do these things, or where she has to go to play groups and stuff like that.
We just don't go out far on the weekend.
We've been doing a lot of carpooling. We all go to the one place where we're all chucking for petrol.
Most people reckon it's pretty hard getting around Tassie without a car. Public transport options can be limited depending on where you live.
Where I live, you just can't really rely on buses. It's like 3 a day, and not on weekends or public holidays.
Over the Ditch, New Zealand is using public transport to help relieve the pressure for commuters. PM Jacinda Ardern said yesterday her government would be halving the cost of tickets for 3 months to encourage more people to use it.
We hope this ensures that where the option of shifting how we travel is available, this makes it more affordable to take that public transport option up.
And that is a very, very good idea, making the public transport more affordable. So there's more people taking to public transport. And I think that is the way forward. And even here in Brisbane, of course, we know the ferries are not working at the moment because of the river. The trains are now back on the schedules and the buses are running. So that's very, very good news. Well, right now, election has not been called yet, but the pledging and sledging has already begun.
Hello, Harry. I know a cavoodle. There we go. Oh, you've done this before. And green manufacturing right here in Townsville.
I'm proud to be part of an Albanese Labor government that will commit the needed and necessary funds.
$2 million for the much needed sports hub here for this community here in Ipswich.
Whether it is acknowledged or not, we are already well and truly into the 2022 election campaign. Political leaders are crisscrossing the country, making appearances and announcements as polling day looms very close.
Oh, my favourite man!
That brings us into the traditional fare of campaigns, election promises. And in turn, that has created a problem for Labor. For the last 3 years, Labor has run a tough and effective attack on the coalition over pork barrelling. There's been good reason for that. A seemingly unending series of damning reports from the Auditor-General documenting grants programs worth hundreds of millions of dollars, overwhelmingly distributed to coalition seats. But now, how to make a moral distinction between such behaviour and the normal process of electioneering.
Anthony Albanese has actually been on a spending binge across marginal electorates around Australia. This is the exact opposite of what he and the Labor Party have been saying for the last 2 to 3 years. They've been out there saying that grants shouldn't be determined on whether or not a seat is a marginal electorate.
This is a project that stacks up. Unlike what the government does, which is to get out its colour-coded spreadsheet, look at what the marginality of seats are, and to make decisions based upon that colour code.
Pork barrelling, showering money on electorates you want to hold or win, is hardly a new phenomenon. Labor faced scrutiny over some of its own programs when it was last in office. For example, the Auditor General found that in the $800 million Regional and Local Community Infrastructure Program, the approval rate for projects in Labor-held seats was around 42%, more than double the rate in coalition seats.
When they show bias in the distribution of public funds, they should be punished.
Labor has argued in the past that the problem is not that the coalition engages in pork barrelling, but the sheer gall with which it has allocated funds to its own seats or target seats. A major study by 9 newspapers last year of over 19,000 individual grants showed that coalition-held seats around the country received more than $1.9 billion over 3 years, while Labor electorates got just under $530 million. So how to judge what Labor has been doing so far in this unofficial election campaign? If the issues at play are fairness of distribution and transparency of process, it's pretty hard to judge.
It is pretty hard to judge. So right now, we'll go to the international scene and we'll go to Ukraine.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends, Americans, in your great history, you have pages that would allow you to understand Ukrainians. Understand us now, when you need it right now, when we need you right now. Remember Pearl Harbor, terrible morning of December 7, 1941, when your sky was black from the planes attacking you. Just remember it. Remember September the 11th, a terrible day in 2001 when evil tried to turn your cities, independent territories, in battlefields, when innocent people were attacked from air. Yes, just like no one else expected it. You could not stop it. Our country experiences the same every day, right now, at this moment, every night, for 3 weeks now. Various Ukrainian cities, Odessa and Kharkiv, Chernihiv and Sumy, Zhytomyr and Lviv, Mariupol and Dnipro, Russia.
So there you go, a very, very strong plea coming from the President of Ukraine, addressed there to the American citizens. And he has also been addressing the Canadian Parliament there as well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, right now it's time to go to our daily India report. With that, let's welcome Himanshu.
Welcome to Daily India Report that brings you glimpses of the changing India. In our first story, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacted with stakeholders involved in the unprecedented Operation Ganga that led to India evacuating about 23,000 Indian citizens as well as 147 foreign nationals belonging to 18 countries from war-torn Ukraine. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi virtually interacted with stakeholders involved in Operation Ganga, which evacuated about 23,000 Indians and 147 nationals of 18 countries from war-torn Ukraine. During the interaction, representatives of the Indian community and private sector in Ukraine, Poland, Slovakia, Romania and Hungary narrated their experiences of being part of Operation Ganga, the challenges they faced, and expressed their sense of satisfaction of having contributed to such a complex humanitarian operation. Modi expressed his warm appreciation for Indian community leaders, volunteer groups, companies, private individuals and government officials who worked tirelessly for the success of the operation. He praised the patriotic fervor, the sense of community service and the team spirit displayed by all stakeholders involved in Operation Ganga. Prime Minister especially praised the various community organizations, pointing out that their selfless service exemplifies the Indian civilization values that they continue to embody even on foreign shores. On efforts made by his government, Modi recalled his personal interactions with the leaders of Ukraine and its neighboring countries and expressed gratitude for the support received from all foreign governments. Reiterating the high priority that the government attaches to the safety of Indians abroad, Prime Minister Modi said the country has always acted with alacrity to assist its citizens during any international crisis. Guided by India's age-old philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, India has also extended humanitarian support to nationals of other countries during emergencies, the statement said. India has expressed concerns that a United Nations General Assembly resolution to mark 15th March as International Day to combat Islamophobia could end up downplaying the seriousness of phobias against all other religions. India called out an OIC-sponsored UN resolution on International Day to combat Islamophobia and cited that word pluralism finds no mention in the resolution and hoped that the resolution would not divide UN into religious camps. It further claimed that non-Abrahamic religions, Hinduism, Buddhism and Sikhism are also facing persecution. India's permanent representative to the UN, T.S. Tirumurti, noted in his explanation of vote at the UN General Assembly that India is proud that pluralism is at the core of its existence. India firmly believes in equal protection and promotion of all religions and faith. It is therefore unfortunate that the word pluralism finds no mention in the resolution and the sponsors have not found it fit to take on board India's embedment to include the word pluralism in the text for reasons best known to them. Ambassador Tirumurti also said, quote, "We hope that the resolution adopted today, March 15, does not set a precedent which will lead to multiple resolutions on phobias based on selective religions and divide the United Nations into religious camps. It is important that the United Nations remains above such religious matters which may seek to divide us rather than bring us together on one platform of peace and harmony and treat the world as one family." End quote. Tirumurti condemned all religious phobias, saying India condemns all acts motivated by anti-Semitism, Christian phobia or Islamophobia. However, such phobias are not restricted to Abrahamic religions only. The Indian representative said that, quote, "It is clear evidence that over decades such religiophobia has in fact affected the followers of non-Abrahamic religions as well. This has contributed to the emergence of contemporary forms of religiophobia, especially anti-Hindu, anti-Buddhist and anti-Sikh phobias." End quote. He said such contemporary forms of religiophobia can be witnessed in the increase in attacks on religious places of worship like gurdwaras, monasteries, temples, etc., or in spreading of hatred and disinformation against non-Abrahamic religions in many countries. He pointed to the destruction of Bamyan Buddha, violation of Gurudwara premises, massacre of Sikh pilgrims in Gurudwara, attack on temples, glorification of breaking of idols in temples, etc. contribute to the rise of contemporary forms of religiophobia against non-Abrahamic religions. The Indian ambassador to the UN pointed out that Hinduism has more than 1.2 billion followers, Buddhism more than 535 million and Sikhism more than 30 million spread out around the world. India sent the fourth shipment of humanitarian assistance of 2,000 metric tons of wheat to Afghanistan via land route from Pakistan. India sent the fourth shipment of 2,000 metric tons of wheat to Afghanistan via the Pakistani land route as part of its humanitarian assistance to the Afghan people. India dispatched the first consignment of 2,500 metric tons of wheat to Afghanistan through the Pakistani route on February 22nd that reached the Afghan city of Jalalabad on February 26th. 50 trucks had carried the consignment. India's External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Arindam Bagchi said India has so far sent 8,000 metric tons of wheat to Afghanistan as part of humanitarian aid. India had sent a proposal to Pakistan on October 7th seeking the transit facility to send 50,000 tons of wheat to the people of Afghanistan via Pakistan, and it had received a positive response from Islamabad on November 24th. Following the Pakistani response, both sides were in touch to finalize the modalities for the transportation of the shipments. Each of the bags was stamped with the text, "Gift from the people of India to the people of Afghanistan" in English, Pashto and Dari. On February 12th, the Indian government had inked a memorandum of understanding with the World Food Programme for the distribution of wheat within Afghanistan. India has already supplied 500,000 doses of Covaxin vaccines and 13 tons of essential life-saving medicines to Afghanistan. India has been pitching for providing unimpeded humanitarian aid to Afghanistan to address the unfolding humanitarian crisis in the country. India has not recognized the new regime in Afghanistan and has been pitching for the formation of a truly inclusive government in Kabul, besides insisting that Afghan soil must not be used for any terrorist activities against any country. Samsung will be investing in India to set up a new compressor manufacturing plant at Sriperumbudur near Chennai in Tamil Nadu state. South Korean consumer electronics company Samsung has committed to invest rupees 1,588 crore or more than $200 million in India to set up a new compressor manufacturing plant in Sriperumbudur near Chennai in the state of Tamil Nadu. The new facility, spread over 22 acres, will have a capacity to produce 8 million compressor units a year, which will be expanded in the future. Compressors produced at the plant will be used in refrigerators that Samsung manufactures in India and will also be exported. The company signed a memorandum of understanding with the government of Tamil Nadu for the new plant, expanding and strengthening the component ecosystem in the state. Ken Kang, President and CEO Samsung Southwest Asia, said that the new compressor manufacturing facility will help the company cater to the growing demand for Samsung's innovative digital appliances across the country and also drive exports. Set up in 2007, the manufacturing facility in Sriperumbudur is one of 2 factories that Samsung operates in India. Some of Samsung's flagship consumer electronics products like QLED TVs, Lifestyle TV, The Frame, Curd Maestro refrigerators, AI EcoBubble washing machines and wind-free air conditioners are manufactured at this plant. Some of these digital appliances are exported to many countries. Since its entry into India in 1995, Samsung has set up 2 factories in Noida near New Delhi and in Sriperumbudur, 5 R&D centers and 1 design center. These are supported by a strong network of over 200,000 retail outlets and over 3,000 customer service points. The makers of the film Dasmi dropped a teaser. Directed by Dinesh Vijan, the social comedy stars Abhishek Bachchan in the lead role of Gangaram Chaudhary. Bollywood star Abhishek Bachchan treated fans to a teaser of his upcoming film Dasmi on 14th March. In the teaser, Abhishek introduces his character Gangaram Chaudhary in the Tushar Jalota directorial. The teaser was captioned, quote, "From one student to another, Dasmi ke exams ke liye dher sari best wishes," end quote. The video shows Abhishek, who seems to be in jail, announcing to inmates that he is preparing to give his class 10th exams. The actor is heard saying, "Dasmi ki tayari kar raha hoon," and soon breaks into a happy dance. As the teaser comes to an end, Abhishek is seen standing at the table of a library. He says that to give class 10th exams from jail shows his right to education. The teaser is a perfect glimpse of the social comedy which is set to release on April 7th. As soon as Abhishek shared the video on his social media platforms, many praised the actor's never-seen-before avatar. While Sikandar Kher called Abhishek Raja Beta, Amitabh Bachchan found the teaser superb. Dasmi also stars Yami Gautam and Nimrat Kaur. The film is produced by Dinesh Vijan's Maddock Films in association with Bake My Cake Films. It will stream exclusively on Netflix and Jio Cinemas.
मैं 10वीं की तैयारी कर रहा हूं। जेल से 10वीं करना is हमारा right to education.
That's all for this bulletin of Daily India Report.
And thank you very much for that report, Himanshu. Well, right now, let's see if we can go into the Parliament's final pieces before we close off for today.
Notice. Is leave granted? Leave is granted.
Mr Speaker, I move that the member for Glasshouse be discharged from and the member for Scenic Rim be appointed to the Legal Affairs and Safety Committee. That the member for Scenic Rim be discharged from and the member for Oodgeroo be appointed to the Community Support and Services Committee, and that the member for Oodgeroo be discharged from and the member for Bonnie be appointed to the Health and Environment Committee.
The question is,
new appointments.
Those of that opinion say aye. Those against, no. I think the ayes have it. I call the acting leader of the House.
Mr Speaker, I seek leave to move a motion without notice.
Is leave granted? Leave is granted.
I move that the date of the Health and Environment Committee to report to the Legislative Assembly on the inquiry into the provision of primary, allied and private health care, aged care and NDIS care services and its impact on the Queensland public health system be extended from 31 March 2022 to 8 April 2022.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those of that opinion say aye. Aye. Those against, no. I think the ayes have it. I call the acting Leader of the House.
Mr Speaker, I seek leave to move a motion without notice.
Is leave granted?
Aye.
Leave is granted.
Mr Speaker, I move that the House, at its rising, do adjourn until 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday, 29 March 2022.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those of that opinion say aye. Aye. Those against, no. I think the ayes have it. Are there any personal explanations?
Speaker.
I call the Minister for Transport and Main Roads.
Speaker.
Sorry, before you commence, Minister, members to my left. Member for Chatsworth. Minister, you have the call.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, the independent watchdog, the CCC, fully investigated a complaint made by the member for Clayfield in relation to me in 2017. The matter was finalised in September 2017 and I was cleared of any wrongdoing. I apologised in 2017 and I stand by that, Speaker. I respect the independent CCC and its findings, unlike those opposite who continue to undermine its work and findings to this day.
Order! Order, members.
It was not me, Speaker, who voted to sack the PCCC, who voted against every integrity bill and opposed the federal ICAC.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Minister, can I ask you please resume your seat? What is your point of order?
Mr Speaker, the member is straying away from what is ideally a personal explanation and into debating matters.
Minister, can I ask that you address the issues you wish to explain to the House and not venture into commentary on other matters?
Certainly, Speaker. Speaker, I'm focused on supporting Queensland's flood victims and restoring our transport network. I'm fighting for equal treatment for Queensland flood victims, from the Morrison government to flood victims in northern New South Wales. I'm focused on supporting our public sector workers. I'm focused.
Order. Members to my left.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Parliament sitting there, and soon it will be the segment that's happening there now is the personal explanation, and after that will be the question time. But that's about all we have for you today. It's been wonderful having your company. Well, right now, 27 degrees and sunny here in Brisbane. It's been wonderful having your company on this 17th day of March. So until tomorrow, it's goodbye from me. Remain safe. Still observe those safety rules and regulations if you're going to functions and events, which a lot are happening right at this moment. They're all taking place. And of course, the latest news coming out of China is that another variant that's emerged there, and which is spreading at a very, very fast rate. So we'll have to keep an eye on how it progresses. But until tomorrow, it's goodbye from me.